I would very much welcome your feedback and comments. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Charles, for nicely explaining on the different angas, parts of Ashtanga Yoga, and in which emphasizing the Yama Niyama, and also for the Swa Adhyaya, self-learning process. Probably we will listen to the next speaker and then take the discussions and comments probably when Dilip ji is back. Guruji is presently not available. So I was asked to invite Father Sebastian for the, maybe you can unmute Father Sebastian and then.
Yes, I did.
So welcome. I think no introduction is required because it's there in the flyer and most of the people know each other. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, good morning. And just to give a brief introduction about myself, of course, I just came to New York just last September to take over as the pastor of a church here in Brooklyn, Greenpoint, St. Anthony's. My background in India, actually, I was associated with education, Bangalore Christ University, when I was teaching there. It used to be Christ College. And I was for 7 years as principal. And, in India, although it was an institution managed by the Catholic Church, the majority of students belong to various religious groups. Majority would be Hindus. As Christians are a minority, we had a small minority of Christian students as well, Muslim students. And in India, we live and grow with the concept of yoga. Thank you very much, unless you have something to, by way of clarification.
Thank you, Father, Reverend Father Sebastian Ji, for reflecting on the practical aspects of yoga, how it can be the part of daily life. The Sanatana Dharma of Bharatiya Shastra always prescribes it's not to be learned, it is to be kept in daily practice. And I'm sure footing on the academics and then having great interaction with a lot of people around. You were also in Pune, Sebastian Ji?
Pune I visited, but I was not.
But your institution is there in Pune, right?
Yeah, it is there. Yeah. I was there at the beginning of, some of
both Pune and Bangalore and Kochi?
Yeah, Pune, Lavasa, we have a center. Pune city, we have another college, yes.
So all the great academic cities of India is what is under, and he was controlling the whole thing. So I heard quite a lot. And earlier Dr. Charles made it very simple, like as simple as breathing. Now Reverend Sebastian Ji made it as simple as living. Now, I don't know the sequence in which who has to speak next. Maybe I'm seeing Reverend Susanna Ji next to my display. Shall I take the privilege of calling you and then? Oh yeah, I think Chris E. Bihari Ji is also waving hands. You could take the chance of stepping in.
Thank you. Namaste, everyone. It's a privilege to be here, a joy in such esteemed company.
Join with everyone again.
politics and religion, and we don't know how to get out of that. We are trying, I guess, because the goodwill people, ultimately coming together of people and their goodwill. That is the song at the time of Jesus' birth, people, peace to men of goodwill. So I hope that will ultimately survive.
I mean, Jesus didn't have to deal with Islam. I mean, he only dealt with the
Yeah.
Christians and Jews. So that's a different element we're bringing in the current situation.
Yeah.
I was listening to most of the comparisons made between. I think something should not be compared. You have to accept varieties, right? How to exist in differences. How do you accept somebody? Everybody need not have apple. You can have apple and orange also, right? The basic idea in what I understand in Sanatana Dharma, which I don't like to call it as Hindu, the word Hindu, because it has been adulterated too much. The way of life is like a government. When you say government in a democracy, Prime Minister is not the government, President is not the government, Defense Minister is not the government, Finance Minister is not the government. Without them also government is there. So Hinduism is such, if you don't have gods also government is there. If you ask who is government, each citizen is a government. I can say I am government. And who am I? I am the servant of government because I am a government servant. Like Sanatana Dharma is not owned by not Krishna, not Kamsa. Krishna's uncle was Kamsa. He was also a Hindu. But was he in Sanatana Dharma or not is a question. Probably he was not. We have Mahabharata war, we have Duryodhana and Dharmaputra. We had Rakshasas against Devas fighting. All of them were great believers probably in God. Rama and Ravana, two people fought. Ravana was one of the greatest devotee of Lord Shiva. So God is entirely different from Sanatana Dharma way of life. Bharatiya Shastra doesn't have commandments and say you should obey this, otherwise you are punished. No. If you don't obey this, you are out of the Hinduism. No, nothing like that. You can be inside without even having faith, criticizing your own God. And you have Devi Sankalpa in which the enemy is not there, only enmity is there. Enemy can change into a friendship tomorrow. Today's enemy can be tomorrow's friend. So there is no enemy in Bharatiya Shastra. So I have no complaint against somebody. I have only complaint against enmity. And how do you explain? If somebody is my enemy, that is a feeling within me.
Yes.
If I don't consider him as an enemy, Susanna can never be my enemy. Even if Susanna decides that Dr. TPS is her enemy, I don't care. I still love you. So what we believe is unconditional love. And if somebody doesn't keep that unconditional love, he's a Rakshasa. So I can be a Rakshasa for a moment, but then I can clean myself. I don't have to go to somebody and then tell what did I do. It is an internal cleansing. I have to clean myself. And that I must get by my actions, my satsanga. That is what is called satsanga, with good people around me who tell slowly that what you have done is wrong. Then I can ask what is the logic. Without logic, nothing is accepted. Even if Brahma, who is the creator, comes and tells, Yukti yukta upadeyam vachanam balakadapi anyat tranamavatyajyam apyuktam brahmakadapi. I can tell him, I don't accept you because no, I am a God, you should listen to me. I will tell no. Tell me the logic. convince me, educate me, so I can question. Nothing without questioning we should accept. The best critic of Hinduism is also Charvaka, is given the Rishi Padavi. He is the highest of the Maharishi. He is like a yogi. We also salute him for all the criticism he has done. This is like in a democracy, opposition leader also gets the position of a minister, because he represents people, he represents the other direction. So here we have got a great democratic way of accepting people as part of it. It is not serving God is something great. No, we don't care God at all. But for a small kid to understand in LKG, UKG, you have to make a symbol. When you get into a PG level, higher level, you forget about the symbol. You accept that, yeah, I understood now. I cannot show dog, snake, elephant in the classroom. So what do? I print the picture and say, this is elephant. The teacher knows this is not elephant. This is the picture of elephant. I cannot bring elephant into the classroom. So the Deva Sankalpa is only Sankalpa. Sankalpa means imagination. There is no God at all in Hinduism. These are all called Anumanas made. And we have, if somebody doesn't understand my language, they are called mlechchas. So when Christianity people came to India, most of the Christians today who are all in India are all converted. Basically, they were all Hindus. Because by birth, their parents were Hindus. How did they become Christians? Somebody came from a different land, and that time India was full of forest, lot of diseases. And we had great kings. Their responsibility is, whoever comes to my house as a guest, their well-being is my responsibility. So a lot of doctors were asked to treat them when they fall sick, because the climatic condition was different. We had malaria here. Many people were dying. Most of the priests who came from different places. We have CMS college. I think 2 or 3 principals got snake bite and died. So who will treat them? So what we did was, the Raja himself asked the Vaidyas. So you can see the first converted families in Kerala was Vaidyas. They were all doctors. The traditional Ayurvedic doctors were influenced by the king to convert them into Christianity so that they will take care of their own brothers. Otherwise, they said they are not untouchable. We don't touch them, we don't deal them, we don't treat them at all. And probably Kerala had untouchability maximum. By caste wise, the highest caste only treat the highest caste. Lower caste, even if he becomes a doctor, we have a great Srinarayana Guru. And close to him was one of the doctor. And he did not even get a job in Kerala. He had to go to Mysore to get a job. That is because he was a lower caste. Lower caste doctors, even they are qualified, they were not accepted. So we had a lot of caste system inside the structure, which was a bad phenomenon. And probably king himself must have bribed for converting them to Christianity so that they will treat the guests. And that is how, otherwise no other country have got this bribing system. Land is given, house is given, all that was given by Hindu, because we want to take care of people. That was how probably in Kerala you will see a lot of conversions happened in the beginning. That not that much. The Muslim had an invasion and then forced conversion was there. I don't think Christians made a forced conversion. It was a liberal acceptance. And even today, where the conversion is happening, because as Dilip ji asked, where is the problem? Maybe the tribals, low caste people living in forest, they don't understand even what is Hinduism. If you ask them, they don't even know what is Sanatana Dharma. They have only some tribal programs, the tribal festivals, the tribal way of living. But what has happened is the conversion has been almost focusing on them because they could be grabbed separate. So we have in Kerala different categories of Christianity themselves. If you look at Christianity, Orthodox is there, but non-Orthodox is also there. So I had been traveling. I am from a small village from Kerala. We have given free land for construction of churches. Not one, 2 or 3 churches. Acres of land, probably 10-15 acres of land. Take it and construct. Not even a single penny was taken from. I remember in my house we had a big dabba, big vessel, which had a wine. Those days wine was given. One vessel of wine was the gift for 10 acres of land. Even that was not given, we would have given land. Because we had lakhs of acres of land. We were landlords. So what we have done, when somebody came, we said, you take the land. Lot of Christians came from south part of Kerala. We have given land just like that. We never knew that land was so precious. We had a school, we had a temple. We did not add land to the temple or the schools. We have liberally given. So giving out, what we have is not important. Probably Leninism, Naxalism, Marxism taught have and have nots. What Sanatana Dharma Hinduism says, I have and leave everything for somebody else. I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. That is what is being taught by Hinduism. So that is why we take the best rice, best coconut and put everything into fire. What is, I don't want, you take it. Because it's all given by God. The Son is the God who gives everything to us. So it is a daily practice. Everyone is trained to understand, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. Maybe other religion, I want, I want, I want, I want. So what has happened? Kings were there who were rulers. But all of them kept advisors. And advisors were the great religious practitioners without any payment. It's all service. When you become old, white beard, somebody want my service, Dr. GPS, freely available. Today also I was telling Dilipji, you tell me place to stay and eat, I am at your service. I don't want anything else. That's it. That is how we are trained. I don't want, because everything is there. What is that we want? Peace. Where is peace? It's inside you. Swayam Atma Nibandhanam Sukham. Stay inside you, and then that is what is called Samadhi. So I am not searching silence outside. I am searching silence inside. And Ena Kena Prakarena Yasya Kasyavi Dehinaha Sandosham Janayat Pratna Tadaiva Mishra Pujanam. What is serving God? Do something somewhere, some point of time to someone to make him happy. Not temporary, long-term happiness. If I can serve, I am serving God. That is what is Sanatana Dharma.
Dr. TP, something you said, I just want to emphasize that I think is so important, that if you hate someone, you're hating yourself. It's in you. It's not outside, it's in you.
It is called Shatru Buddhir Vinashaya. Shatru, enmity, Buddhi, it is in my brain.
Right.
Remove that part of the brain, that feeling on somebody else, so that I am a clean person. And when you remove it, I am not removing enemy. I am adding one friend.
And you spoke about doing something, which I think in every religion is charity. In Christianity, agape is the highest form of love. It's sacrificial love.
And it is always said, Annadanam Paramdanam. The best service is giving food. But Vidyadana Matatparam. Higher than that is giving knowledge. Because Annena Chanika Triptihi. If I give you breakfast, it will stay only up to lunchtime. Because after lunch, you remember only dinner. So any food is given 3 hours, 4 hours, finished. I don't remember any chef who has given me food in some hotel, some point of day. But I don't forget a teacher who taught me some lessons.
That is true.
That is because Annena Chanika Triptihi, it only satisfies you temporarily. Yavad Jivam Javidyaya. Knowledge giver will never be forgotten.
Yeah.
I'm 100% sure even if Reverend Susanna wants, she cannot forget me for this lesson which I gave.
Definitely. And Guruji, think of all the people Guruji feeds.
Yeah.
The Swami Vivekananda, who gave his greatest speech in Chicago, 1893, in the Parliament of World Religion. It was only 4.5 minutes. He came with 3 lessons from Bhagavad Gita. One is the yoga of action, karma yoga. Second, the yoga of bhakti, devotion. And the third one is yoga of knowledge, jnana. But then he found for the Western style, he have to create a small change. And he wrote the best book, Raja Yoga. And that is the beginning of yoga outside India, probably.
Correct.
If anybody has to start referring to the original action which took yoga to the Western world, it was because of Vivekananda's stay, and that was his first public speech. Never he gave a lecture in India. Only thing, there was a small program in Hyderabad, not even in Calcutta. He came to Hyderabad, and after his speech, the Muslim king during that time, who ruled the center of India, Hyderabad, he said, I am going to sponsor your travel to America. Then he said, you reserve that fund, I will ask later. It's already booked. That means the first funding was from a Muslim king who was not accepting the India as India. He said, the center of India, I want a Muslim nation. Hyderabad was not part of India in 1947 when we got independence. Later, actually, it was a big politics played to get the center of India, Hyderabad, as part of India. But he recognized Vivekananda. Western country recognized Vivekananda. And that is where we started. And it's a brief 4.5 minute speech, not even 4.5, 4 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yeah, please play that one.
I have sent the link. If you can play that.
Okay.
If anybody has not listened to that, that shows the essence of Hinduism. So probably I take the cue of Vivekananda and keep saying, every religion is like a lyrics you have written. Spirituality, yoga, and such celebrations, what we do today, are the raga, tala, bhava, the harmony, the notes which you give to make it into a beautiful music. If spirituality is not there, the religion will stay only as a lyrics without a music attraction. So spirituality gives the music, the rhythm of love to all the religions. Yoga gives a trumpet, probably. Like dance, music, yoga, religion, everything has to club together. Then it becomes a beautiful life. If not, the link is given in the chat box, I think.
Yeah,
at least
net is a little slow.
Listening to that worth, because that's a beautiful lecture, because many speakers, nearly 32 speakers from different religions spoke, and only next day all the newspaper covered Swami Vivekananda. He addressed not Namaste, my brothers and sisters of America. That's how he started his lecture. Probably none before him did that. And September 11th is a great day for America. Only thing, for different reasons. But for us, the Chicago speech of Swami Vivekananda is what we kept in our brain as September 11th. 9/11 is a different date for America, especially New York people remember it in a different. different context later.
Lead to me. Sectarianism, bigotry, and its horrible descendant, fanaticism, have long possessed this beautiful earth. Had it not been for these horrible demons, human society would be far more advanced than it is now. But their time is come, and I fervently hope that the bell that tolled this morning in honor of this convention
Such a great speaker.
Gabriel, like to present? Unmute yourself.
Yes, namaste everyone. I wanted to mention all the speakers brought up very beautiful points, and Dr. TPS, that was wonderful sharing of many things, the influences and the history. There's a lot of importance, I feel, with understanding our history and understanding the different effects of influences. We need to gain an understanding of how things formulated in order to know, to have an idea of the recipe, to have an idea of what's in the food. So I wanted to mention, I was inspired right now to just write something how I felt. So I just wanted to mention. Religions can empower individuals through emphasizing elevation of consciousness. We arrive to this experience of being human as a soul, and it is important to nourish the plant from the root level. To focus on the superficial aspect of life is analogous to watering only the leaves while the ground is dry and barren. To address issues at the central level is to make a fundamental shift, involving all the parts and influencing change at a collective dimension. Not just teaching morality will awaken and expansion in human consciousness. Ethics are crucial, but are only one aspect. When one is truly aware of their actions and the consequences at all levels, they will not need to keep going to confession to repent with feelings of guilt and shame. As Father Sebastian said, ultimately it is about love. When we become conscious of ourselves in our true essence, love will naturally pour out and flow effortlessly. Thank you.
That's a good point, Gabriel.
Thank you, Bossji. I remember Professor Bose was mentioning creating a documentation, and then probably that will become a great asset. I always feel if somebody believes that his KG knowledge did not help him to progress well, Dilip ji is on call. Yeah. That was from Bose ji, so he did it. So I wanted to tell that probably sometime, I don't know whether Swami Vivekananda was hatred towards statue, because everybody learns from his LKG, UKG textbooks. When he grew to higher level, he cannot say what he learned was wrong. They're all the first step towards progress. Anybody to that matter, if I have learned something, it is from probably what my childhood learning, my society have taught me. And being a yogi he will not hate anything in this world. He has no enemies. Probably ignorance can be there. Earlier, Simran ji was telling that ignorance is a great bliss. If you get more knowledgeable, your blissness will go. You will start pondering. And that is what we keep saying, PhD, doctorates, perspiration, humiliation, degradation. All the time you start keep on thinking, right? And that creates a lot of problems to us. So when you reach into higher and higher level, that doesn't mean what you have learned in your childhood is totally wrong. Probably you had the ignorance of understanding something, or maybe you had influence of people around you, which has built you up. What makes us to be highly knowledgeable, highly spiritual, how to be with the society is that energy we carry within us and what we can spread. As Simranji was telling, that fire in us, which has to be spread. But most of the people don't know that they are having fire inside. What they will do is, they will close it, and when you close the fire, the smoke will come out. So what is essential for us is to open that so that the fire will blow, not the smoke. Nimisham jolitam sreyam nadu dhumayitum chiram. Every moment live like a fire and don't be like a smoke. That is what is essential. If you have fire inside, you must be allowed to blow it so that the spirituality is glowing. That is enlightenment. That is brightness. That is what is essential. I think if somebody has got some remarks to make or some comments to make, we will continue. Otherwise, we could close. Dilip ji just spoke to me saying that his connection is lost. So we need not wait for him. So if anybody has got anything to add, we could. Otherwise, we will close it for the day.
I just hope that we can have an opportunity. I've asked Guruji is to talk about the link of healing and yoga. And yoga, really, it's about yoga. And I hope there can be an opportunity to offer a presentation on that topic that I think would be very, very enlightening. I do healing work, energy work, and my experiences through the healing have been quite extraordinary and really eye-opening. And I think it would be a good discussion.
Yeah, I think you should communicate to Dilip ji and then confirm it. That could be better.
Yeah, I've asked him. I know he's busy, scheduled, many people, so I'm still waiting. We'll see.
It's very good because the yoga enhances the energy points, and definitely your life force energy aura has to be really visible out. So I'm sure it could be used as a measure of your ability of yoga through the spiritual strength which can be shown in the energy levels. Good. I think there is one question from Remy Alapo. Any question from in the chat box I could see?
Namaste. I actually don't have a question, but thank you very much for all the discussion and presentation today. I definitely learned a lot. And, you know, it's always a pleasure participating in World Yoga Community events. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Namaste.
So anybody from Amity, or we will call it a day? Vinamra Sharma ji.
Sir,
Good
thank
enough?
you so much, sir. Sir, good sir. And very enlightening remark you have given, sir.
Please go on, please go on.
Gabriel ji, anything? Or shall we call it a day?
Thank you.
Janardhan ji, you have anything? You are trying to unmute or mute?
Nothing, sir, nothing much to add. Only thing I wanted to thank you and tell you that the things you spoke about, it has been, I only wanted to thank you for quoting Vivekananda again, that from the class level, lower class, you get to the idol worship and then go up. The thing.
Yeah, there is a great message which says, Agnir Devo Dujadinam Muninam Hrudi Devatam Vigraham Sulpa Buddhinam Sarvatra Viditatmanam. Agnir Devo Dujadinam. For a person who does the ritualistic activity, for him, God is the fire. For a Muni, for a sannyasi, for a rishi, his hridayam, his manas is the God. For less buddhi, who wanted to progress in religious practices, Vigraha, statue is God. For any other people, maybe ignorant people, everybody is God for them. Because each one is a God in front of them. So that's what I was mentioning. Yogis consider their hridayam. Hridaya guhara madhye kevalam brahma matram. Inside their hridaya, God exists. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.